Hi, this is Michelle Turner, and I'm here for another case study. This time I'm doing Max. He's 10 days out of the NICU, 5 weeks premature. He's missing a quarter of his heart, right tricuspid atresia, and he's come to me straight away. And I've known the family for years. He was already scheduled to be my newborn assessment baby, so you notice him from the cover of that. But I want to show you what I look for when I see a baby. There is a big question as to when is too early. I don't care if the baby's fine, not fine. There needs to be some kind of movement assessment for your child, for baseline. That's it. So what I'm doing here, notice his breathing. First of all, his breathing is off. So it's pulling his breath. Instead of breathing out, he's pulling. So you can see where the pelvis is actually being sucked in a sense, off the floor. And that fall there really is a premature, but a high risk for cerebral palsy, which he ended up not having, but he's had lessons for the whole year. But when you're seeing same, there's no counterbalance within his system. He goes right leg, right arm, or he goes left. He's not countering any movement in a baby, right arm, left leg. That's what a counter should look like. So again, even when I roll him back up, you can see the pelvis float. If you need to rewind or do anything like that, by all means, to look at the movement. So that's what I'm trying to associate. His feet do not want to come down to the table. The startle, again, he's not that babies don't startle, but the startle should be where the hands and the fingers pull through the atmosphere in a sense. What they're working on is the gravity versus that kind of thing. So I'm just looking right now for his pelvis to find my hands. That's all I'm looking for. I've identified one of the first milestones, or the first and the most important milestone, is the absolute horizon. I'm looking for his system to find where it is, not necessarily the floor, but where it is in space. Do you know when you put a baby into a crib, they should go down, they go below their sea level in a sense, versus if you go to put a baby in a crib, colicky, all those kind of things. And that dropping below seems to be an issue for their system. So he's starting to find the floor. I'm looking to counter every part of his body. Even though it looks like I'm just holding here, it's still just a very easy, very gentle. When you're working with a 3-pound baby, and I've gone as low as 875 grams, which is about 1¼ pound, that's where your touch really comes into play, because you need their system to look at you as nature, like a leaf blowing in the wind. Their system, a newborn baby, has to assimilate with these forces that we take for granted, which gravity being the big one, but balance, counterbalance. But it needs to establish within the core of its body, and or through every cell. That's why babies too have a higher water weight, meaning 85% fluids, although that's where you have the difficulties in the premature kids because of the lower weight, global weight of fluids, and we don't have calcifications of the bone, so everything. So what I'm doing here is part of the newborn assessment, where I'm checking everything for rotation. Again, you can see where he is just falling. And so this is where also you start seeing where dystonia starts to pick up. I don't believe dystonia is a neurological disorder in the sense that it comes from the injury. It's a relationship to gravity. So they will learn to startle out what that holds them from falling. That's what he's already learning, in a sense, his system's responding to. And people see that as an overactive Moro. Moro, I looked at, if it's done correctly, is a pre-jump, not so much as a startle. And so it's activating that tension, that stored kinetic energy within the muscle, not that startle this way. It's a different flavor of it. And I'm trying to let his system find it. So I'm working on the rib cage. So now, as his breathing is starting to cycle out instead of pull in, although pulling in right there, I'm there just trying, just gently to go in and let that diaphragm start to regulate and come out versus pull in. And I'm just, again, it's not a rock. It's here and here. I'm not doing this. You'll never see where my fingers go in the same direction. I'm more like seaweed. I go over this over and over again, or I'll go like a lotus. But I'm here and I'm here, not looking for that momentum. So he's starting to get upset. Babies will do that. They get hungry very fast with this work. I will not work with a child to tax them into where they're upset. That being said, babies are also learning a language, so I want that language to come out. So see, he's calm again. So I'm looking for that ebb and flow. He's allowed to talk to me. Now, you know, he doesn't have social correctness yet, so some of his talks are going to be larger barks, but I won't let him go into a distress cry. That's just not the way I work. But a baby, not that they need to know to self-soothe, but they need to know that they can go in and out and play with conversations. So you don't want to restrict the voice per se. And as you can see, he's found his little munchkin fingers, and just letting him find, you know, again, that soothing. But see, there's that startle again. And so, but I'm right there. I don't change what I'm doing. I want him to learn how to find his self within it. But even that's kind of startle. You really want to watch that with a child, and I'll do a case study to show you more so what happens. But you can look at my Harvard lecture, and it shows a very nice startle as well in there, where I talk about infant development. So again, looks like a rock. Here, what I'm doing here is I'm noting that the foot's kind of really down on the floor, and I'm letting that movement from the pelvis establish over the leg, trying to get the other leg to start to come down and allow that hips to come. And there, he's just about to make contact. But again, the movement is more like this, where I'm working with all the fingers, versus any kind of a real rock per se. There, feet are going down, and he's just finding his, you can see again where the breath is nice and full within his system. He's so tiny there. And again, where, see, picking the arms up, falling again. I'm noting all of this, but I keep working. There, now the other foot's starting to come down, so he's starting to respond quicker to the floor. Diaphragm's coming quicker with the breathing, and just working on that. He's 4, he can ice skate. He never presented it. He's had open heart surgery at 6 months old. There's information that I'll link below on his before and after as well, but he was very much at risk between this kind of a birth, what he went through, having open heart surgery at 6 months of age. When there's combinations like that, I don't care what anybody tells you. First of all, you get a baseline in every body part, and that you start with functional movement as soon as possible. It's hard in some states and some countries to get into programs. However, I provide more than enough videos that you can work with your newborn child. I do trainings, I do Skypes for all of those kind of needs. Just feel free to contact me with that. Video reviews. Now you can see here how the pelvis is starting to go long. So before everything, so it looked like a rock, pelvis was here, and now I'm actually starting to allow the articulation of the right pelvis. And notice too that the feet are starting to become more asymmetrical, almost that pre-crawl, and that's more what you want to see even at that age. See how that startle happened there, but it didn't take the pelvis with it. It's another good sign that his nervous system is talking. You can see again the shakes, the breathing changes, but he's starting to probably getting a little bit obsessed. But see, that startle there, he countered. He's going straight with both legs, still a fall. Any kind of child like that goes vroom, especially where that nose is just crashing midline. That's a fall. You don't want to see babies fall at this age. I'm not saying they're never going to do it, but if you probably counted back on this video, the amount of times he fell within a session is way too high. He scored very high at an at-risk baby for the newborn assessment. And that's not even, like I said, in counting that he has to have surgery. One of the things that caused a problem with him as well is, since he was so tiny, we needed to fatten him up for surgery. So he literally wasn't allowed to cry, crawl, move, do anything, because it would take calories, and he had to be held a lot just to, we called it Operation Butterball. But because he was just too tiny to withstand it. And so now again, he's finding his voice, and I'm just seeing where he's getting. But again, notice how he's moving that pelvis around. He's going asymmetrical with the pelvis. His body's really elongating out. And I'm about to stop here. So, and now I'm just seeing where he's at. At least he's countering, he's twisting, he's not same, he's not falling over like he just did before. I'll do a sort of a before and after with that, just so you can see. But it doesn't take much at all to change a baby. And every baby deserves this. Every baby should just get basic movement assessment. So here you're just seeing again from the beginning, where you can really see when he gets touched how his breathing is pulled in, and the startle, and the way his body kind of gets thrown over, and then again how he's responding almost boat-like. You're starting to see where the knees are becoming asymmetrical. He can rock his pelvis separately from the upper thorax. He's stretching out now instead of coming in, more like an accordion, and just in 20 minutes of his lesson. Thank you for watching Movement Lesson. Please enjoy all the videos that I have to offer by subscribing, and even doing the subscription site where I have all my instructional videos. Thank you.